Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Friday, the 15th of November. On S&P 500 yesterday, a little bit of a sell-off, 0.6%, but it seems like we are having a correction ongoing here that could dip to 5,900, possibly down to around 5,800, but we'll see about that. RSI is still positive, of course, and there's no divergence. We see the peak values here are the highest ones, higher over here. So we should, after correction, see it pushing higher. And if we just very quickly look at the weekly chart, there is divergence on the RSI. You see actually seems like we are in a stretched uptrend, but for now the uptrend is intact. Here pre-market we are about 0.5% lower. Now we are actually testing the 5,900, very close to at least, as you can see, and I think we will see it dropping lower here towards the end of the week, and also going into next week before we could possibly see a bounce. Nasdaq 100 also 20,684 is likely to be tested, but we could see a dip down all the way down to 20,377. But then we have this gap area here that is key, that shouldn't be closed. If it closes that gap, then we could have a different situation. Suddenly we have the 20,000 under pressure. The Dow Jones index, well, it did form this bearish engulfing pattern here, so we are warned a little bit that we could see a correction, possibly down to around 43,000, maybe even testing this gap here, that we don't want to see being closed, because then we could see the market being really under pressure. But for now, let's just keep an eye on 43,400 and 42,730. Quite interesting development on the European markets yesterday, the day before. First we saw a massive sell-off here, then we saw quite a volatile day, and we got nowhere, and then yesterday bounced back strongly. So it's actually formed this doji evening pattern here, doji evening bottom and reversal pattern, and I think we could see EUROSTOXX 50 bouncing further here in the coming days, but it will be a struggle. I think. I don't think it will last long. I don't think we'll go into a bullish mode. At least we need to get back above 4,900 on EUROSTOXX 50 for that to materialize. And here's pre-market. We are a little bit lower, as you can see. If it takes out the lows here from the 13th, well, then the downtrend will resume. The bottom of reversal pattern has been cancelled, and we could see further selling pressure. Here also, quite interestingly, we saw this doji here. That is normally a bottom reversal pattern, but again, it hasn't really been in a trend. So how much we can rely on it is a little bit up in the air. But what is not up in the air, it's closed above 19,000 also here. So we are still in a fairly strong situation, and that is key. That it needs to close above 19,000. If it does close below 19,000, then the selling pressure could increase. Also, bottom reversal pattern here on the Amsterdam index after testing the 858 bouncing. We are currently indicated a little bit lower pre-market, but if it moves back above 879, well, then it could challenge this falling trend line and maybe even spike up to 892. But if it takes out 858, well, then downtrend is resuming there. The CAC 40 that is unfolding this shoulder pattern dipped lower there on the 13th. And bullish day yesterday, If it moves back above 7,341, well, then it could possibly push up towards 7,500. But I'm not quite so sure, because then we also have the moving averages coming down there. They will kind of giving a pressure on it. We're still negative sentiment. So how reliable this one is, I'm not so sure. If it's being taken out, well, then we're looking at 7,000 level. Swiss market, more or less the same picture, really. Bounced from 11,630, could bounce further up to 11,900, and then it could be a struggle, because we are below the cloud. We're also having this all the moving averages declining here, giving it a pressure. So still, I would remain skeptic that we will see this bottom reversal-like pattern unfolding into a bullish trend. Euro dollar dipped to 105 yesterday and then bounced, and I think we can bounce further. And as we can see here on the RSI, there is actually quite massive divergence at the moment. Let's see here. Not that massive, but it's slightly a divergence, indicating that we could see a bounce, and we could see a bounce up to 106.65, which is also the 38.2 retracement. So expect a bounce towards the end of the week, and also going into next week. If it takes out a 105 here, once again you see the dip just a few pips below, well, then there is potential down to test the 104.48 low here back from last year, and also take it out. It will be interesting where we end the week. Will we have the RSI closing below 40 threshold or not? That will be key. The sterling dollar cable here also dipped lower, almost down to 126, bouncing a little bit, and it could bounce a little bit further. I'm not quite sure that the trend is ending, but if it is, I mean, there's not really an exhaustion indication, because the RSI is in a negative sentiment. There's no divergence. It is indicating we could see a further selling pressure, but I'm adding this Fibonacci retracement nonetheless, because we could see it bounce up to 128 and the 200 moving average. The euro sterling, well, it is crawling a little bit higher this morning here, and if it takes out the peak here from the 13 at 83.47, I think we could see it bounce up to 83.76, which is the 61.8 retracement. Yen pairs have the dollar yen slowly crawling higher yesterday, saying a little bit back this morning. There is potential up to 157 and a change, with this 786 retracement of the entire downtrend that we have seen here in July, August, and down to September. I think we will get up there. The RSI is showing some divergence at the moment, and we are in a trend exhaustive mood, but we could still push up there. If it takes out the lower rising trend line, then we could see a correction unfolding, but let's see when we get there. I think I will move this one because that's obsolete now. So we are a little bit stressed short term there. Euro yen, well, not much to say really. Trying to get back above the 200 moving average. It should get up there because there is no divergence on the RSI, still in a positive sentiment, but it is struggling really here. If we can get RSI back above 60 threshold, then I think we'll see a push up towards 168. If it takes out the lows here from the past few days at 163.20, well, then we could dip down to 161.38. Aussie yen not really doing much, so let's just skip that because it's still in this trading range here. It really needs to break out these spikes up here to the upside and the downside. And the RSI is in a positive sentiment, indicating we should see it pushing higher, but for now it seems a bit fragile. Sterling yen, well, 199.95 and 195.35. That is the range it needs to break out of. RSI is in a positive sentiment, indicating it is likely to break out to the upside. Aussie dollar ticking lower below the support here around 64.70, showing a bit of divergence on the RSI. Maybe we're short term in a bearish trend or exhaustive mode. So we could see a correction, but it will most likely be short-lived. And I think we will see Aussie dollar pushing lower. Let's have a look at the weekly chart and see what it looks like. Well, yeah, we are in a very strong bearish trend, but it's also down here around the 64, where it usually bounces back. Let's see what happens during the day for the direction. I will add, just as a guide, if it starts pushing higher, okay, where can we move to? And the 65.52 should be minimum. I don't think we'll get all the way up to 66. But again, it has been quite volatile lately, so it could be. If it takes out the lows from yesterday at 64.40, expect a push down towards a 63.50 level. Dollar Canada pushed higher once again yesterday. Now it's showing divergence on the RSI, meaning it is in a little bit stressed uptrend, and I think we will see a little bit of a setback towards 140 after breaking 140. Well, then it's like get a little bit fried of the heights up here. Then a little bit of a setback to 140, but we are in a bullish trend, so let's see about that. What is key also here on the weekly, we'll see it actually broke above this area here that it usually turned around from. So we are up in these areas not seen since 2020 towards 145. And weekly, well, it seems like we could push up there. And it's formed this ascending triangle-like pattern. It's not the most perfect one. We could adjust and say, okay, it is around these levels here. And that should give us potential higher towards 100 to 145 on the medium term. Finally, Sterling Canada. Sterling Canada actually broke below the 178.30 as we saw here a few days ago. Dipped down to 177. Didn't get all the way down to 176.80. We are in a downtrend, but it's trying to get back up here. But the downtrend has been confirmed, bearish RSI or negative RSI. And we can see here on the weekly chart, it has broken this rising channel here, or rising trend. And if it can't really get back above 179, well, then I think we will see in the coming days and week that the Sterling Canada will push lower. EURUSD is still sideways and needs to break below 93.30, and it needs to break above 94.50. Dollar Swiss reached almost the 89.25 resistance. However, there's no divergence on the positive sentiment on the RSI, indicating we're likely to see higher high. But I think we'll see a little bit of a setback, as I think we will also see a bounce in the euro dollar, and so I think we'll see it's setting back to around 88 level, which is the 38.2 and the around the 200 moving average before it's possibly will turn around and push higher towards a 90 level. The dollar index reached the 107 level, or just a few pips from it, and I think now we could also see a correction here. We can see that the for now, there's divergence on the RSI, but if it takes out 107 level, 107.05 closes above here, then I think it will be cancelled and we will see it pushing higher. But we could see a correction down to 105.57, which is 38.2. That should be a minimum correction level. Gold dipped below 25.46 supported, and just a little bit below the 100 moving average, bouncing a little bit here now. And it is key what's going on here. If it takes out the lows from yesterday at 25.36, then I think we'll see a push down to around the 24.79, 24.70 key strong support here, and the 61.8 retracement. However, if it can bounce, well, then we could see a retracement down or a retracement up to the 32 at 63. sorry, 2633, sorry, but it will be a little bit of a struggle here at 2600. I'm not quite convinced that we have bottomed out just yet. I still believe we could see a move down to here, but if it gets back above 2600, well, then we could see it towards 2660. It is still in the cloud. It didn't break below, and so we are kind of in a neutral zone here. But if it moves back above the cloud area, then I expect the uptrend to resume. On the silver dipped to 2970 support. Could turn around if it takes out the lows from yesterday at 29.65. Well, then expect the 29 level to come under pressure and the 200 moving average. We actually also spiked down to the lower part of the cloud. If it moves back above 31 and back above the cloud again, then I think we'll see uptrend to resume, and then we could add the Fibonacci levels here and say, okay, we should get up to around 33, possibly 33.76. On copper also spiked lower, just down to the 400 level, and it could very likely bounce to 418, 419, maybe all the way up to 430. But here we will have very strong resistance around 429, 430, with the moving averages coming down, giving it a pressure. If it takes out 400, well, then we're looking at much lower levels. On the energy side, well, the WTI crude oil has been testing this lower rising trend line here. If it takes it out, and if it takes out the lows here from a couple of days ago, 66.95, I think we'll see a push lower towards 64. We could see that being tested, maybe even 62. We are in a bearish trend on both short and medium term. Same picture on Brent crude, of course, pushing lower. If it takes out 70.72, then I think we could see the bearish trend here continuing and resuming on the weekly chart, with potential down to 64.60 level. On the Dutch market, the Dutch TTF gas market pushed higher yesterday, opening almost unchanged this morning. But looking at the weekly chart, we can see what's actually going on. We are trading in this rising channel here, and there is potential up to 54, 56, 57 level. The spike ups here from more or less the same time last year. We are in a positive sentiment with positive RSI, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels. US nat gas is, on the other hand, still in this triangle-like pattern, got rejected on the upper falling trend line, so that is not in a bullish trend at all, not just yet. Today, we'll have a quick look at cocoa. Here is the dollar-denominated cocoa. It broke above its upper falling trend line here yesterday and closed much higher, back above the 8,500. So the bullish move yesterday has been confirmed by closing above 60 threshold. We can also see here on the weekly chart how it really has broken above, and it has formed this descending triangle-like pattern, and there should now be a potential up to around 9,850 level. That spike up here we saw back in August, it could even take out that level, and then we are back here towards 11,000 again. The London-based cocoa futures contract has been on a bullish breakout for a couple of days now, and pushed higher towards 7,000, spiked just above it here yesterday, and it could continue further. We could see a little bit of a setback, of course, but the RSI is in a bullish mood, positive sentiment, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels. So towards 7,500 is not unlikely to see it, maybe even higher in the coming weeks. Just very quickly, also looking at the coffee that has been bouncing strongly lately, has reached a 38.2 retracement. I think we'll see a push up towards 5,000 level, around 61.8 retracement. And here is the coffee futures. That the other one was the booster one that is actually pushing higher, new all-time highs, it seems. a little bit stressed, but I think there's still further upside potential for coffee. There is no divergence currently on the RSI, so a strong end to the week could push coffee contract even higher. And then yields, US 10-year Treasury yields yesterday tested the resistance once again at 448. I believe we'll see a setback. I believe we will see a correction lower, but there is some strong support here in this region around 428, 425 that needs to be broken. We can see why this level that's being tested is so key. If it closes above 448, 450, well, then there is potential 475 and even higher. So that is really something to keep an eye on. But short term, the uptrend is a little bit stressed, and we've just have a very quick look at the US 10-year Treasury yield futures. Then we can see it is in a exhaustive move, at least short term, but I don't have a bottom reversal indication in place just yet, other than the RSI is showing divergence. You can see the values here are rising as the price has been declining. I think we'll see a push up here to 110.18, maybe higher, but it will be a struggle to get above that level. The 2-year Treasury yield slowly ticking higher towards 437 and the 200 moving average, but also a bit stretched there. So I also could see a correction kicking in maybe today or maybe going into next week. The EuroBund future, very volatile in this region here without direction. It seems like maybe we are in exhaustive mood, at least short term. If it takes out 132.73, well, it could bounce back up to towards 133.40. And finally, let's have a look at the UK gilts forming another bullish engulfing. So maybe forming this little double bottom pattern like here. It's not the most perfect one. If it takes out, and I will actually add a horizontal line, if it takes out the 94.47, well, then we can see a push up to 95.36, maybe even up to 95, 96 level, maybe even that, but it's debatable. Let's see if there's no divergence on the RSI, and the medium-term trend, bearish trend, is still intact with the potential down to around 91. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and a nice weekend. Talk to you again later.